Hello and welcome to DNQ Football, and this is the first of our kind of World Cup dailies where we update you if you need updating on the results so far in the FIFA 2022 World Cup, as well as talking about a few other results from around international football, including in this edition at least St. Lucia's victory over San Marino and just general other stuff. Joining me, as always, is DNQ co-host Ryan. How are you, my friend?
What? Joining me as well? Yeah, I'm absolutely fine. I'm absolutely fine, enjoying lots of football, mate, and
Mm,
that's what we're going to do. I mean, yeah, I love that you've gone for what I'm going to describe as a brave call of the first of our World Cup dailies, but we're kind of giving no guarantee that they will be daily videos.
well, you called it
Um,
that, so I mean, it's up to you.
yeah, off air, I called it that.
Oh, sorry.
And you've just gone sort of with the ballsy approach of, yeah, these are the DNQ dailies. But I mean, we're going to be trying and doing a lot of World Cup stuff, aren't we, mate?
Absolutely.
Talking about the games, any other games that have happened outside of the World Cup, plenty of friendlies at the
Mm,
moment,
mm.
and then looking forward to maybe the next day or the next games coming up. But where shall we start, mate? Shall we start with the game that launched the World Cup, or do you want to quickly touch on the game that you saw last night, St. Lucia San Marino? Because I can give a little flavour. I didn't watch last night's game, but I watched the first game where they scored the late leveller. How do you want to go about this one, pal?
Let's start with that game and then let's focus on the World Cup after that.
Sounds
So,
good.
so we've done lots of videos, which we won't go over. Kind of some of the stuff we've covered on St. Lucia San Marino, the double legger in the Caribbean. Last night was the second game. They drew the first 1-1 with a 93rd minute equaliser from San Marino.
Yes.
And last night they couldn't come up with the goods in terms of an equaliser and lost 1-0, a Kurt Frederick penalty. Kurt
Mm,
Frederick was then later sent off in that
yeah.
game towards the end of the game. I believe he was booked earlier on taking off his shirt when he scored. But indeed,
Oh, nice.
in
No,
the
I
friendly,
didn't
he
know that.
was in fact sent off. I don't know if it was a direct red, because you can, of course, still be directly sent off even if you're on a yellow card.
Mm,
But that made no real difference to the game. San Marino, as I spoke about on the live stream briefly after the game last night, just no real attacking systems, no real attacking play. And the question was asked: are they the worst team in the world? How the rankings say yes, but a lot of opinions, a lot of people in the chat saying no. And so we kind of spoke along with people in the chat around, okay, so who are they? At what point can you now say that they are the worst team in the world if they just do not win a game?
mm, yeah.
And who they should play in 2023 to try and get that next win.
Yeah, it's so hard, isn't it? Who would they beat?
Mm,
Who would they beat? Their hunt for that second victory goes on. Um, yeah, I saw your video on it, mate, and I was surprised because I had watched the first game, and in the second half especially, they played some pretty good stuff. They fully deserved the equaliser,
mm,
albeit it was very, very late on. But it wasn't anything. The 1-1 scoreline, I wasn't sat there thinking like, oh, they've got away with that. They they fully deserved it. So then to kind of hear that maybe they hadn't turned up for the second game, I don't know. I thought they'd have been buoyed by the late leveler, and I thought they'd have gone. And I have to say, after watching the second half,
mm.
I thought, and like how they dominated that second half. Sorry, I then thought that they would win the second game.
I do think people did.
So
I think people saw the second game as a real opportunity, given the late equaliser and the fact they fully deserved it, and given. And I even said on the preview, I think San Marino will win the second game, and I think you said the
yeah,
same, because you know once you understand your opposition, these two sides never played before, so it's tough to go into a game, and I think a draw was probably a fair result across both halves. But it's then you then know what your opposition's going to do. You know what their tactic is, and you
mm,
think, okay, well, we can set up better against it. I really thought there was just a complete lack of style of play or tactic from San Marino. And what St. Lucia do is quite basic, tactically, but it gets the job done. I
Mm.
think that they deserved the win, and you would have seen, I'm sure, on Twitter, um, San Marino fan accounts and things just saying, yeah, we were rubbish.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
might not have been a penalty, but we weren't very good.
Did they not create any chances at all? Was it no, mate? In the first game, oh, they missed one of them. They just missed so many easy chances.
I mean,
You look at it and you're
yeah,
like, oh, mate, put that away,
there were.
please.
St Lucia missed more chances, I'd say, than San Marino. I think San Marino might have had some shots which you could deem chances, but none quite like the first game where it was like, how have you not scored? I don't think
Yeah,
there was
yeah.
any of those. They definitely deserved to lose. Um,
Can't believe it. Can't believe it. The
yeah,
hunt for their win goes on, mate. The hunt for the win goes on. And oh, anyway, fair play to you for staying up and watching that. We do it for the love of the game, for the love
for
of the
the love of the
channel, mate.
game, absolutely.
And then we move on from. I mean, it was yeah, funny really, wasn't it? Yesterday, the contrasting football fixtures we
Mm,
had.
mm.
We had the second game of St. Lucia, San Marino, and then could it be more poles apart? The first game of a World Cup and Qatar, the hosts, took on Ecuador.
Mm.
Did you watch the game? We weren't together. Um,
I did watch the game.
we weren't together for we haven't been together for any of the games actually, have we? So
Not
that's
yet.
quite decent 'cause we can chinwag through them. Um, and the game, of course, finished with a 2-0 victory for Ecuador. I thought they were really good, mate, and I thought they thoroughly deserved it. How did you how did you kind of take that first half in particular from Ecuador, and did it surprise you how good they were, or did it surprise you how poor Qatar were? Because
Both.
let's be honest, they were bad yesterday. I was surprised, Tom.
I mean, sorry, I was just out the corner of my eye seeing just on the 99th minute, it's just gone Senegal nil, Netherlands 2. So we'll
Ah,
touch on that. Davy Claessen's just come off the bench to score a late double. I
late
don't think it would have made too much of a difference. I think they'd have won. They'd have won anyway. But that game's just about to finish, so we can talk about that when we get to it. But in terms of the
second.
first game, the inaugural game to kick off a World Cup, I mean, if you want to understand how a team should do it, you should look at I'd say South Africa. And I think that's comparable because South Africa, as we spoke about in previous videos, also one of the lowest ranked teams to ever be at a World Cup. Similarly, Qatar, one of the lowest ranked
Hmm.
teams at this World
Yeah.
Cup. So you look at it, and of course, South Africa had a tough game as well in their opening World Cup fixture. Similarly to how Ecuador, and we spoke about it before, no slouches and in good form going into this tournament. But I must say, I was very, very impressed with Ecuador
Yeah.
because I think that we knew that they had pace and we knew that down the wings they would cause trouble. But the tactical element of it was so good. The way that the defensive midfield would drop in to form the three. In attack and defence, the systems changed so much, and I saw so much on social media about people really analysing the way that Ecuador played because it was. I mean, Qatar couldn't contest with it at all. They were just outdone, outran, but also outplayed technically as well.
Mm.
And Ecuador, I think, having watched this game, Senegal, Netherlands, which is of course in the same group, I think that Ecuador said, we got a chance here.
Mm.
We could get out. I don't think that they'll cause as many troubles to better sides in Senegal and the Netherlands, but I think that they will compete.
Do
I
you not
think that they will
think
compete. I don't think, not to the same extent, because Qatar were very poor.
they were, and we'll come back to them. But in the when I was watching the Ecuador game, I heard that is it Tite, the Brazilian manager? I
Yeah,
believe it's Tite. He said that he thinks Ecuador are an underdog, like a potential sort of um,
yeah, to get to the latter stages.
dark
Dark
horse
horse, yeah, yeah.
to do well in the tournament, which I thought was interesting. And then when I watched them play, I was so impressed, so impressed. Obviously, obviously as West Ham fans, we know Enner Valencia.
Mm-hmm.
We actually bought him off the back of a World Cup because he'd been so good for them, and he was great. I thought yesterday, but also the Brighton lads, Estepinian
Oh
on the
yeah.
left, and then Saicedo in the middle. Now I know these players are good, obviously because we get to watch them. Ignorant sort of English fans, sort of watching Premier League football and only I guess knowing a huge amount about that really, but we do a bit. But I just didn't realise how good the whole team would
Mm.
be. But I think the whole situation, and when I say the situation, I mean Qatar and how they played. It lent itself perfectly for Ecuador to get off to what is a brilliant start. I just thought Qatar were terrible, mate. They were terrible.
they were very poor, very very poor. They
Like you've
seemed
been, mate,
to play
mate.
Route
They
One
cancelled. Mate, they cancelled. They've stopped playing. They've paused the domestic
September.
league since September.
Mm,
There was no, but they've been playing. We said on one of the videos, the one about how they are the lowest ranked team in this tournament, that they've had 20 games this year preparing for the World Cup. Loads, I think they're 12 against international teams and another nine or something against club sides. I didn't see any of that. Like I obviously there's going to be a golf in quality because all of the players that play for Qatar are based in Qatar and they play in the Qatar League.
mm,
I was just very surprised at now normally kind of when you are watching like the FA Cup, for example, and you've got a lower league team taking on a team that's sort of far ahead of them or in higher leagues, you have a kind of a base level of what you can expect from the underdog, which is make it really difficult, hard challenges, compete for absolutely everything and outfight your opposition and just
mm,
work harder than them for
mm.
that game. Because ultimately, chances are you're going to lose the game. They've got more quality and they will, at some point in the game, find a way to break you down and go on to win the football match. I didn't see any of that from Qatar. I didn't see any of it.
Well, and
And it's just,
that's why I mentioned South Africa at the start, because they really went gung ho in that opening game of the 2010 World Cup and got the goal and got the crowd up.
yeah,
But the quality of their attacking players was pretty good. I mean, not to the same level as, like you say, the sides that they faced in the group, but Qatar were just very poor.
yeah,
Tactically they played Route One, which just gave possession back to a team that are very good in possession in Ecuador, and they didn't ever cause many physical problems either. I was impressed with Ecuador's defenders, even though they weren't tested too much. But you're playing Route One against a side, not really posing that many threats to a side that also just doesn't really concede goals. Ecuador are very, very good defensively,
mm,
and then equally, the defence of Qatar was opened up time and time again by Enner Valencia and his strike partner, and Valencia was dropping off into sort of a false nine position in midfield and
mm,
running the game. And it's no disrespect to Enner Valencia, but he's a guy towards the end of his career playing
yeah.
in Turkey and doing very well in Turkey, so he comes into the tournament in good form, and it's by no means the worst European league. But they genuinely made him look like a world class striker, a
Yeah, they
world
made him
class
look
striker.
unreal, and we have watched him on numerous occasions for West Ham,
Yeah,
and that trampoline touch at times
he scored a good goal against Hull once.
on his debut.
Yeah,
Mate, I had a lot of time for Enner Valencia. Enner
mm.
Valencia and Jafra Sakho as the West Ham striking
Yeah, yeah.
combination was great. But last night, I was funny. I was looking on my Twitter, which has a lot of West Ham on it, and there was a lot of sort of jovial. Oh, we should look to sign this
Yeah, yeah.
Valencia striker. I wonder if West Ham are going to be. Yeah, I mean, they made him look fantastic. And
But there
fair
was a
play,
lot of
fair play,
players.
mate. Fair play to him because he then became last night. He
Yeah.
became their leading scorer, I
Hmm.
believe. Was it? Is it in just World Cups or is that in total? Not actually
No, no,
sure
no.
there.
I'm pretty sure it's all
Is
time
it? Is it?
for Ecuador, but I'm pretty sure, and do correct us if we're wrong. But also, he's now got, I believe, 5 goals in 5 goals in 4 World Cup games.
Oh, yeah. Yes, it is. I think it's five in his last four or
Yeah,
something.
yeah,
Something
5 in
mad like
his
that.
last 4, which is pretty good, And if you're gonna kind of put yourself in contention for a golden boot or anything, he should have had
Yeah.
a hat trick, of course. We can talk briefly
Yeah.
about VAR across this tournament if you like.
Oh God,
It's
let's
been
not go to
misused.
it. To yeah, let's not go to. I could that offside because they went 1-0 up after 3 minutes, didn't they?
Yeah, yeah.
And then the offside that I found it baffling. The goalkeeper there was a contest the ball, and it was his knee that was offside at that point. But then the ball bounced and someone else headed it before that same guy with the knee offside. Then bicycle kicked it square for Valencia to
I
nut
think the
in.
main problem with it was, and you heard people across social media and even doing coverage of the game speaking about it, going, nobody's complaining, nobody's seen anything. There's a melee of players.
Mm,
He's only offside because the keeper steps out and is therefore the penultimate player. There's still another defender behind him. They gain no advantage from that leg being there, because that's the other
no.
thing as well. They really don't gain an advantage from that. Um, and ultimately it did stink a little bit. It was like, oh,
Yeah, it was
here we
weird.
go, a way to control games a bit more, but it was never going to work because Ecuador were by far the better team,
Mm, they were.
and they're now top of the group.
Yeah,
So
they are indeed. And talking about a team that was, or sort of, talking about teams that were far better than their
mm,
opposition. We've got to talk about England.
mm,
England, England.
yeah, went with the four at the back system, um,
Yeah.
4-2-3-1, which. Which was probably the best system given the sort of minor injury to players like Carl Walker. Um, if Walker was fit, he might have gone with a five, but
No,
the four,
I don't know. I don't know, mate. I don't know. Look. He may have done. I'm just so pleased that he looked at it and thought we're
break the
better than
thing down.
Iran.
Yeah.
They're gonna sit back. We don't need five at the back.
Yes. Yeah.
We don't need three centre backs and then Declan Rice sat in
Mm,
front.
mm.
And he didn't. He went for it. And we. How much of it did you watch? Because obviously you were working. So I had an extended lunch to watch the whole thing. You had some calls and stuff. How much of it did you watch the whole thing?
Pretty much.
Yeah, we were great, mate. We were absolutely great today. I was so happy. And then always when you have a game like this, and it was clear from the start that Iran were going to try and foul, repeatedly foul us, break up the play, make it bitty, make it scruffy, delay everything, take ages on everything. The most important thing you need to do there is you just need to get that first goal.
Mm,
You need to break the deadlock because then their whole game plan totally changes. The longer those kind of games rumble on, 60 minutes, 65 minutes, you start getting nervous. It's like, oh, are we actually going to drop points or are we not going to win this game? So when we went it felt like we went bang, bang, bang with the three goals actually in the first half. It's worth talking about the horrendous injury to the goalkeeper. Can we talk about that quickly?
yeah.
Did you see that?
I think it
What,
is.
but
I think it is worth saying that
what was he
it's
doing?
disgraceful that he wasn't subbed off straight
To
away.
take the geezer off.
Mm.
The geezer goes like this,
Breaks it.
bang,
He's
into his
clearly
centre
broken
back.
his nose, by the way. He's
His
clearly
nose
broken his
his
nose.
nose by the end was bigger than mine. It was genuinely like it was
It's because
so
of competition.
swollen. It was so swollen.
Yeah, it was
It
enormous.
he looked like the BFG, and it was so swollen.
Mm.
He had been honestly, mate. He was on the floor for 10 minutes
Concussed.
like this.
Concussed. You can't. It's disgraceful that
Ten
and I do
minutes.
say that I think that I don't know what the rules are around this, but the referee must step in and engage closer with the medical team and say, look, you know, if you are concussed, and we do hope that the Iran keeper is okay, by the way, if you are concussed and you continue to play on and you suffer another head collision, that can cause serious brain damage.
Yeah,
And
mental.
it could if drastic enough, sort of cause real problems that could lead to death. And I know that
The
sounds
medical team,
drastic,
mate. The
but
medical team, get him off the pitch. I don't care if this guy's like, no, 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 I'm good to play, mate.
yeah,
You've been down. You've been down for 10 minutes.
yeah,
Oh. And then 4 minutes later, he was like,
yeah.
and went down holding his nose again. I was at that point. I'm thinking, you're trying to break up the play. I mean, obviously the bloody geezer's nose was. It didn't really. They weren't really. I mean, the guy was in a bad way.
Should have come off
But I
straight
was,
away.
yeah, absolutely. And then, yeah, we had about 15 minutes of added on time, didn't we? But I mean, we ended the first half really, really strong. I thought we going back the whole thing, we played really, really well. The goals, Saka was great. There was some chat about Saka over Foden. Who's going to start?
Mm,
Saka was superb. Before he even got his goals, he was looking really, really sharp down the right. Trippier was great. There wasn't anyone that I think put in like a stinker for England. I think everyone did well. Even the subs came on. It kind of felt like the subs that came on had then a point to prove to Gareth to be like, look, we're not going to get in because these guys have played so well. But I'm going to try and use this half an hour to show that I've got a bit, or that I can still potentially be considered for the next game. Um, they then scored. Did they score? Yeah, Sterling. Where did they score to make it 4? Well, no, Saka scored to make it 4-0. They then scored to
4-0,
make it
4-1,
4-1.
then the
Then
subs.
we went 6-1, and then they scored the late penalty. Do you want to talk about the penalty quickly? Again, a weird VAR. We had one in the first half where Harry Maguire was. Also, this is probably going to come across a little bit biased here, isn't it? But we're England fans, so Harry Maguire was essentially wrestled to the floor, and there wasn't even a VAR check. John Stones sort of has a very slight grab of someone's shirt and penalty. I found that really strange as well. I thought that was really
If
bizarre.
I think if you give one, there's no complaints about giving both. Um,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
but
That's a good point. That's a good point.
but yeah, and if you're going to give one, it's probably the first one to England. I don't think that John Stones' minor shirt pull makes any difference to the fact that Pickford gets the ball way before the attacker. The attacker shouldn't necessarily go down from that. And I think one clear point really is, look, England really benefited at the last World Cup from ridiculously strict touching other people in the box penalties.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, we need to find a happy medium, and it needs to be consistent, because you can't have one that's reviewed by VAR and they go, nah, not really bothered about that, and then a lesser one late on, also on the 100th minute in
yeah,
a game that's 6-1 already. And fair play, it was a great pen. Um,
yeah. He slotted it,
but
slotted it. He got both goals for Iran,
he
didn't
did,
he,
he did.
Taremi?
Yeah, yeah. I thought he actually looked okay.
He huffed
Um,
and puffed, to be
he
fair to
huffed,
him, in
I
what
will
was a
say, a
tough
lot of their
game.
players huffed and puffed. I think it was more of a quality difference today than anything
But,
else.
but Iran are top 20 ranked in the world.
20th, and
They've
they're a
only
good team.
lost.
They're a good
They've only
team.
lost two in. I think they'd only lost before today. They'd lost two in 21 games or something. Someone said.
Yeah,
So they're by no means any like they're not a crap team at all. And they'll give Wales and USA.
that's
There'll
that's
be
the
some
thing,
close
and
games.
and
There'll be
those
some
are the
close
key
games.
games for Iran. I think it's tough for them today. I think they'd have been looking at it going, we'll probably lose. Let's go 1-0 defeat to England, try and keep it tight and maybe snatch something, because we don't want to get done on goal difference. And unfortunately for them, it's not quite turned out like that,
No,
because
no.
goal difference could be important, assuming that England beat everyone. So, and obviously this video will be going out probably a similar time to the Wales USA kickoff, but we've got off to a great start, England. I thought Saka was brilliant. I said before the game, I'd have probably put Foden there, but Saka's earned his place now. He deserves to be in that starting 11. I'd have maybe left him on to see if he could get a hat trick, actually, because I felt like he was really running that week.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah. He was
because,
running it, wasn't he?
yeah, it's not like you go, oh no, we desperately need to rest him for the next game, or anything. I wouldn't say our next game's on Friday. I'd have probably kept him
Yeah.
on. But Rashford came off the bench, and I thought he looked really sharp as well.
Yeah, he did. He did.
Scored
He looked
very
really,
rarely,
really
had
good.
other
He looked
chances.
quick. He looked quick again, actually, Marcus,
He
which was
did.
good.
He did.
But standout for me was Jude Bellingham,
Jude
who's a
Bellingham ran the show.
ridiculous player.
Yeah, it was
Ridiculous
phenomenal.
player. 19 years old.
It's scary, I know.
Makes you feel really good about your own footballing ability.
Or just general about your own life, really.
Too good, mate. Too good. But a good win. It's always good to get off. These are we've got a group of. It's tough because for the England players, I think that really you can't win with these group games
No,
because everyone
no.
says before, well, you should win that.
Mm.
You should win that group, but they're always harder than you think. You go to these games. I mean, we have in the past we have
Oh, with
done poorly at World
Algeria,
Cups.
Costa
Algeria is a great
Rica,
example. Exactly. Yeah, there you go.
USA, of
Just two
course,
straight
in
off the bat.
2010.
Yeah, so they're by no means gimmies, especially at a World Cup. And we went there today and we got the job done, which was really, really good. And I'm interested, just quickly, you've mentioned it,
Mm.
7 o'clock. So, at the time of recording, it's not kicked off yet, but USA Wales. I'm keen to see how that one goes. That'll be an exciting game. Both those teams will know that they'll need to win that game. So,
What are your thoughts about that one?
I think Wales to win. Gareth Bale show. He's kept himself fit just for this. I think it will be close. They've got some injuries actually, Wales, though, thinking about it. They've got a few players that are out. Joe Allen in particular is a key player for them who's injured. But if Bale's fit, you never know. I mean, at the moment, I'm going 1-1 or 2-1 Wales, Bale to do something. What about you?
I think USA are as good as Wales.
USA, USA. Yeah,
I think that USA aren't as defensively strong as Wales, I'd probably say. I think there's a lot of defenders for Wales that play at a decent level,
mm,
and have good international experience. I do just feel like there's such a thing, almost spiritual, around Wales, and getting to this World Cup, and they'll look at this group and they will believe they can get out of it.
yeah.
And when you do have, all right, yeah, he's past his peak as a player, but the difference between the USA and Wales today could easily be Gareth Bale, one of the best
I think so.
Welsh players of all time, if not the best. It's probably him and Giggsy, him and Rush, players like that. But certainly one of the best British players of all time is still playing in this game. And all right, he might not have the pace or the power that he used to have, but if he gets the chance to strike a goal or he gets a set piece, I think that could be the difference in this one. But I do think I'm going to kind of wimp out, and I'm going to say that it's going to be a draw.
Just looking at the lineups. It's going to be close actually. USA have got some good
Yeah, of
players as
course.
well.
They have
Pulisic,
got good players.
McKennie, Ream,
A young
Robinson.
squad. It's not consistently young, but certainly going forward, they've got plenty of youth and pace as well. The
I just
USA.
love the World Cup, mate. I just love the World Cup.
Mm.
I'm just looking at the scores and stuff. Looking at tomorrow. Oh my God, tomorrow's games: Argentina, Saudi Arabia, Mexico, Poland, Denmark, Tunisia, France, Australia. Just just inject football
Mm.
straight into my veins. And then you touched on it, but it has now finished Netherlands 2, Senegal nil in Group A. The other game in Group A. Late goals, the late show from Netherlands, Gakpo 84, class 90 plus 9. You watched this one, I didn't. Quick thoughts before we wrap up for today's DNQ World Cup Daily?
Well, I backed Senegal to do better in this tournament than they probably will. A few injury concerns for them. Mane ruled out, of course,
Yeah,
and Kouyaté stretched off in this one. So
so crap,
it's gonna
so
be
crap.
tough for them. So having seen Ecuador, it's going to be really really tough for Senegal now. I wasn't impressed with the Netherlands particularly. They got it over the line late on, but they were better in the first half, and then really didn't do too much. A kind of classic tale of recent times, I'd say, with the Netherlands. I think they lack that number 9. They play Memphis out wide. They play Bergwijn on the other wing, and down the middle they started that Janssen, Vincent Janssen.
Oh wow, well
Um,
the old Tottenham
the old
guy.
Tottenham player, and you do look at it and go, God, there's such a good team there, but just not that much going forward. But I will say, in the Netherlands' defence, when you've got Ake and Van Dijk as a centre back partnership with Daley Blind alongside them,
De Ligt
De
played.
Ligt of course played as well, and you've also got Frankie De Jong who at times ran the show in midfield.
Good
Um,
side, good
that's a very
side.
good baseline. They do lack, if you had sort of
A killer.
a Van Persie in this team
Oh
or a Van
nice, yeah,
Nistelrooy or someone like that in this team, it would be different,
I like that.
or even a Dennis Bergkamp type. So it's quite weird. They've had these great strikers or great cam roles across the last however many years, and now they've sort of gone to no striker,
Mm,
and everyone else is really good. I tell you what, Dumfries was good as well, operating from that kind of right wing back role. But
yeah.
I think the Netherlands will win the group. Senegal, it'll be tough for them to go through, given the injuries that they've had in Ecuador's performance. But it will be
Mm,
interesting, and that is the final group game as well. Don't forget. So
yeah.
Senegal will play Qatar next, and the Netherlands will beat Ecuador. So I think it will come down to one of those teams might finish on 3 points, or it might even be a draw and come down to goal difference.
Yeah.
Or Qatar could get through, but that's less likely, I'd say.
I'd be surprised. After yesterday's show, mate, I'd be surprised.
That's fine.
But that's is that it for today, mate? Are we wrapping up?
I think we will. We'll wrap up. Just kind of chop this video up and then put it out. Hope that you enjoy
Yeah.
it, and I hope that you can have it on in the background as you watch Wales hopefully triumph over the USA. Being from Britain, we have to say that. So sincere apologies to any viewers from the US. But very much looking forward to everything across the next month. To be honest, absolutely loving this football, and do expect more and more content coming from the two of us at DNQ. And we will see you next time.